Welcome back, everyone. And Jeff Clark is here in the studio. I wanted to touch base with the questions about your financial history that were brought to light by someone who questions your candidacy, I'm sure. What took place with that?
Well, evidently a lot of research was done. Probably 150 pages of material was gathered. And one of the primary things that was brought up was a bankruptcy from 20 years ago. And basically that came about as a result of just horrific timing. I had been injured at work, and I was out I had to have back surgery, and back then you didn't have the quick recovery times that you have today, again, almost 18 years ago. And when we came back from that being on workman's comp, the company had been sold, and the new company wanted to go in another direction. And we had entered into Chapter 13 because my wife and I thought we had a good job, we'd be able to pay this back, but when that happened, it made it impossible. There was just nothing we could do. The foreclosure happened.
Do you think it's fair that I'm even asking this question tonight?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think that it's not fair.
So, what would you say? This is a case of mismanagement of funds or no funds to manage?
No funds to manage. I think you got that. It just got to that point, and within a few months, and that's what. Listen, that is what the system is there for. Right. It's a legal process, and many
is a legal process, but
many people have used it.
But in this case, certainly, when you're talking about someone who's going to be facing serious budget decision making, it is a valid question in an election. It's brought up again and again, but there are many now candidates and elected officials who can claim the same history. My next question in regard to finance is a very direct one. There have been many people, and I'm not sure where the root of this comes from, who have suggested that you are financially backed by Tom Perriello or the Democratic Party. And I need to directly ask you, are you being financially backed in your candidacy by either Tom Perriello or anyone in the Democratic Party?
No, we have not. People can go online. We're filing all the appropriate paperwork. They can see where money's coming from. Most of it's coming from friends who have donated, people who've given $100 here or there. Trust me, we are being squeezed in this process, and we're not working on behalf of Tom Perriello. We're not working on behalf of the Democratic Party. One thing I learned about politics, it's very interesting, is that a lot of people, politics is not as corrupt as people think, but is more corrupt than people think in some ways. On the actual level of the candidates, there's very little exchange. People generally have a very committed idea to want to see government do things the correct way. Where the real corruption happens is behind the scenes with advisors, manipulations, advice, do this, don't do that, support a candidate you don't believe in so you can further your political agenda,
Where's the
thing like
rumor
that.
coming from, in your opinion?
Oh, I mean, from everywhere. I mean, everyone wants to believe that if someone stands in opposition to the Republican Party's chosen one, that somehow he must be a Democratic operative. But let me tell you, it's fear-mongering, and we need to be careful. That type of fear-mongering can lead to violence, it can lead to threats, it can lead to all types of things. And we've had those things. People question our patriotism, question what right we had to run. I'm a veteran. I served my country. I raised my children to love our country, respect God, and yet I'm being forced out of the debate process because somehow Senator Hurt doesn't think I'm worthy enough to run.
Let's talk about that. Your name is on the ballot. Yes. You have the amount of signatures, the required number of signatures.
2.5 times the number.
2.5 times. Thank you very much. To be a participant in this election, your name is going to be on the ballot. And there have been actually folks who question that. Is his name on the ballot? Yes, we want to make that clear, which is why you're here tonight having a conversation with me. However, you have been, for lack of a better word, squeezed out of the debate process. And how do you feel about it?
Well, I think it's an infringement on the First Amendment rights. The Rutherford Institute, which is a well-respected civil liberties organization who has represented conservatives as well as liberals, and they come at things from a bipartisan point of view, recently took up our case and took us on as a client and sent letters out to Senator Hurt, sent letters out to the media and to the organizations that are holding the debates. One of the debates they're focusing on is the Sorensen Institute debate. The Sorensen Institute wants to set a threshold poll of 10% before a candidate can participate. Ironically, that was at the assistance of Robert Hurt, who happens to be not only an alumnus of the Sorensen Institute, but happens to sit on their advisory board as well. Then you have places like the Martinsville Chamber of Commerce. Martinsville Chamber of Commerce, because they want both of the major candidates to participate, are willing to sit by, watch free speech be impeded, work to exclude candidates, work to exclude ideas from the political process in order to further their, I guess maybe so they can bolster their image to say we had both major political party candidates, but all of it's coming from Senator Hurt's refusal to participate in any forums or debates in which we're in attendance.
Well, other television stations as well have already committed to a two-party debate.
Right.
And we are the only station that is going to be, my understanding is we're going to be requesting all three of the candidates on the ballot will participate in the debate. And that is because we feel it is fair for our viewers to be able to hear from all three candidates. And so we are going to be submitting requests to both Tom Perriello and to Robert Hurt and to you, Mr. Clark, that you participate in a debate on our station. And we'd like to give all three of you candidates an opportunity to speak. Is Tom Perriello suggesting that you not participate in the debate?
No, Tom Perriello has been insistent and has been standing by our right to participate. He has shown up to other forums and debates. I think we've had 3 or 4 to this point. We have a few more scheduled, one at UVA coming up in October, one at for the American Legion, which Senator Hurt won't participate in. Again,
Will Senator Hurt be participating in the UVA debate?
Don't know, probably not. I accepted today, sent emails to UVA, and I'm sure Senator Hurt will turn it down.
Do you think that if Senator Hurt does accept that debate, that they will ask you not to attend after you've accepted?
I think they would try to. I think that if they can get Senator Hurt, I mean, I don't want to speculate as to what UVA wants to do. I'm certainly hoping that wouldn't be the case. But let me tell you, we've experienced that. We've had invitations come out, and then all of a sudden the invitations have been rescinded. The television stations, the major television stations, wanted all 3 candidates in the debate. They couldn't get anyone to agree, so what did they do? They withdrew. And so they weren't going to hold any debates. But what happened is they found a couple of organizations who were willing to submit to these poll numbers, and now they gave the television stations the authority or the sole rights to broadcasting that debate. So in a way, the TV stations kind of cowardly didn't have to take a stand for free speech. They can kind of give in to Senator Hurt's demands, and that way they have only 2 parties. See, this is the problem.
Let me ask you this, and
Sure.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I do have to ask you this. There was a quote that you made that I think is one of the reasons that many of our viewers have been skeptical as to your support for either candidate in this case, or your own support for, rather than your support for yourself as a candidate. And that was, I believe you said, and I can quote, that you said you would rather see, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
Tom Perriello elected than to have 20 years of Robert Hurt in office. What did you mean by that, and am I correct in that quote?
Yes, you are correct. And I think that what I'm saying is, in this particular situation, it's pretty clear that the Republican Party is going to pick up numerous seats in the House, maybe close to 100. Okay, they're going to take control. And what I'm saying is I would rather see a kind of a hamstrung or lame duck Tom Perriello for 2 more years than a moderate Republican like Robert Hurt, who doesn't believe in free speech, who has all of these issues as far as his conservatism. Listen, you have every Tea Party, all these organizations saying he's going to be a conservative when he gets there. He's made these pledges. When you have to ask a candidate to make pledges, when you have to ask him to promise to be a conservative, it means there's true questions to his commitment and how he's going to serve and how he's going to represent the people. And my question to the people out there is this: how do you promote a candidate who will try to manipulate and twist the very cornerstone of our democracy, which is free speech? There was a reason the founders put that as the First Amendment. They viewed that as being the most crucial point of our Constitution. And yet Senator Hurt, State Senator Hurt, is willing to twist and manipulate the First Amendment for his own political gains. And that is the same type of thing we're going to see from him once he gets into office.
And you would clarify that that is in regard to your taking part in the debate process?
Yes, that part of it, for me, taking part in the debate process. And I think whether it was me or anyone, I think that he would still be opposed to someone challenging what he believes is his anointed right to participate or represent the Republican Party. And I think that what I'm saying is Senator Hurt will get up there and he will stay for 20 years. And he's going to be a moderate Republican like he has always been. He's going to do the same things in Washington that he did in Richmond that caused many of the conservatives to question whether he was the right person to run. And I think I would rather see us in 2 years have to suffer through Tom Perriello in order to find a great conservative, someone who can stand up, someone that the people of the 5th District can be proud of, someone that they know is conservative and they're not going to have to question, and then put them into office in 2 years.
But can the Republican Party afford to bite the bullet with a Tom Perriello at this point? Because that's what you're suggesting. You're suggesting that you would rather have Tom Perriello
Sure.
for at least another 2 years. Well, we know another 2 years,
Sure.
right? You're saying bite the bullet, take it for 2 more years, and we'll find the candidate. Or are you suggesting you're the candidate now? And for the record, can the Republican Party really afford to do that in the 5th District?
Well, I think the Republican Party can afford to do that in the 5th District. I mean, Congressman Perriello, his socialist agenda was only advanced by the supermajority that was in place in Washington. And we have to remember, the result of the supermajority in Washington was the fault of the failure of the Republican Party. If the Republican Party leadership in Washington had stuck to their conservative principles and values, the Democrats may have picked up a great number of seats, but the chances are they would not have picked up a supermajority. So what do? Simply reward the Republicans for their failure a simple 2 years later? No, we have to hold them accountable. And that's what I mean. I'm not in favor. I would love to see Tom Perriello go down in defeat. But I'm not ready to say I would like to see Robert Hurt be our congressman in Washington, D.C. I don't think that he's the right man for the job. I didn't think it before the primary. And just because he won the primary with less than 50% of the vote, I don't think that he's the right man after that as well.
All right, we've got to take a quick commercial break. We've got Jeff Clark, an independent, and after this commercial, we're going to be taking calls from you, your questions, so stay tuned.